Okay, so this video is kind of long, so I'm going to break it up into two parts to make it more digestible. So you might see a cut, and that's going to be a transition between videos. Okay, so scrolling through the comments, and I saw this comment from Crocketeer Den 6240, and it's meaningful because a couple days ago I had um, put something together in terms of the height, some sort of height analysis using ChatGPT, some sort of height analysis for John and Patsy Ramsey, and even Burke Ramsey, because I was trying to get to the bottom of this whole boot thing, this high-tech boot size. So that's what we're going to be talking a little bit about today, like a little bit about the Ramseys' height and on who was wearing the boot or who could have been wearing it, and a gentleman by the name of Michael Helgoth in relation to the intruder theory. So let's get started. If you remember this article that we read before, okay, if you remember it, you'll remember that we kind of went through and said among information, and this was in 2000, right? So among information John and Patsy provided to police this month are a pair of high-tech boots obtained by one of the couple's private investigators. I was misinformed on I not misinformed, but I didn't understand the gravity of this sentence. John and Patsy, it says John and Patsy provided the police a pair of these high-tech boots obtained from the private investigator. And Colorado Springs private detective Ollie Gray said Wednesday he believes the size 8.5 leather and nylon boots could have been the ones that JonBenét's killer wore inside the Ramsey home where the little girl was found. Why is this important? And we mentioned at the top of this, we mentioned at the top that could be talking about Michael Helgoth. Well, this is where Helgoth comes in, right? Because Michael Helgoth was this guy who is believed to, and we talked a little bit about this last time, be one of the individuals who could have broken into the Ramsey home and along with another individual, along with a second individual. And the story kind of goes that Helgoth had told a friend of his that he was going to make like 50 or 60K along with somebody else to go in and do this deal or something like that with JonBenét, supposedly before it even happened. And when you further look into Helgoth, Helgoth was somebody that was committing a string of burglaries and dressing up as a ninja and all black and sneaking up on his friend and scaring his friend. And not only that, but he was shown to have been a habitual abuser to younger or young ladies, especially some story about him being caught in some sort of, I don't think it was an act official, but it was just like in a compromising or not compromising, but like just like a weird position with his girlfriend's 5-year-old or 6-year-old daughter. Okay, so apparently this guy is pretty bad. He's and he fits the profile of somebody that could do something like this to JonBenét, right? And so Ollie Gray is this detective. The Ramseys hired this crazy detective team to do everything that they're doing, right? And so we got this 8.5 size shoe. Detective Beckner says, okay, we found a partial print that has Hi-Tec in the basement of the Ramsey home. Some say the footprint could have been by a construction worker, could have been by the Ramseys, could have been by the police. We don't know who it was. So Detective Beckner is saying, hey, we need to test it, see who it is, see who we need to exclude, and all such as that. And this is something that I know that individuals who believe in the intruder theory hang on. There are a lot of things that do um, sort of give way to the intruder theory with Helgoth. Let's take a look at another article. So This is another article kind of around the same time. A pair of high-tech boots being examined as part of JonBenét Ramsey investigation. A man belonged to a man who unalived himself in 97, police say Thursday. Beckner said detectives took DNA samples from the person, learned that it does not in 97, and learned it does not match DNA found at the Ramsey crime scene. Although police said they do not think that the man was involved in the 96 killing of JonBenét. Beckner ordered the size 8.5 boots tested this month just to be thorough. Partial footprint from the high-tech boot was found at the Ramsey crime scene and remains unexplained. The Ramseys did not own that brand of shoe. Ollie Gray, a private investigator working with John and Patsy, gave police the boots August 4th and answered police questions about them during a police interview with the Ramseys this week. The Ramseys remain under the umbrella of suspicion in the death of their daughter. They maintain that an intruder did it. Gray, who obtained the boots in July, said the police never told him they ruled the person out through DNA. He questions which DNA samples from the Ramsey crime scene they used to do the comparison and how thorough their examination was. Gray said the boots are one of several pieces of information the Ramseys have given to police for a follow-up. He wants to protect the dead man's identity unless the man becomes a suspect. On December 26th of 96, JonBenét was found murdered in her home in Colorado, sparking, a lot of comprehensive coverage and all such as that. But and I should go further just to kind of add fuel to the fire with Helgoth. Helgoth supposedly had, these crazy tapes to where he had filmed these children you just film these children walking around, and they were like 6-year-olds and 5-year-olds and young women. And, it kind of fits with the narrative of, somebody sneaking into this young lady named Amy, and I think the mom's name was Rita, and they lived in Colorado as well, and there was a string of burglaries, and there was also in the area of the Ramsey home, so with a lot of not only a string of burglaries in that area, like a lot, but there were a lot of children offenders. I won't say children offenders, I'll just say offenders just in general of other individuals. So if you understand what I mean, but sort of abusive, I'll say to children, stuff like that. And so these offenders were essentially everywhere in the area. They believed, and Helgoth was one himself. And so they believed that Helgoth could have fit the profile of this. Of course, can't take that away from the man. If the man is out there doing dirt, the man is out there doing dirt. I can't take that away. So they test the boots. They don't find that Helgoth did it. But the story with Helgoth is they found Helgoth having harmed himself fatally. They found him with a pair of these high-tech boots, right? These high-tech boots, a stun gun that would fit the case. And apparently the stun gun was high-tech with some sort of night vision or night laser that he could see at night and stuff like that and whatnot. And of course, that would have been useful to kind of catch victims off guard or whatever. If you're burglarizing and you're in that game, then yeah, sure. And so that was apparently Helgoth's night job, right? He was apparently a mechanic by day, went to high school and came out, and his dad, I believe his family owned a salvage yard or a junkyard. And so I think he worked there as a mechanic by day, but at nighttime, he's in these streets, acting a clown, acting a fool, just doing all kinds of stuff. That's all well and dandy. And, going back to the story with this Rita thing, um, this Rita and Amy. So apparently, um, Rita and Amy was an individual who was at a studio with JonBenét, and they were at the same dance studio. Um, and Amy, or her father, and Rita's husband had gone out of town one day, and when Rita and Amy returned home, there was a intruder that was waiting in the house, and they didn't know that. So Rita comes in, Amy goes up, goes to bed, sets an alarm. And I want you to pay close attention to what happens. And you can search this. This is not, private information. This is on the internet. If you look, I think a good source for this, if you type in A Candy Rose, that's ACandyrose, A Candy Rose, and type in Mike or Michael Helgoth. Helgoth is spelled Helgoth. Michael Helgoth, and type that in, and it should take you to the page where all of our information is. And what I was looking for in that page is news articles, not necessarily because Candy Rose has collected a lot of stuff, and I wasn't necessarily looking for blogs or anything, but I'm looking for official publications, things that would be published and stuff like that, or put out to the public. But Amy, she goes up, she goes to bed, and she's doing her thing, right? She's going to bed. She's chilling in bed. She wakes up and there is this guy standing over her. Now, mind you, Rita has set the alarm system. Rita has set the alarm system. And so Rita is being very diligent. I don't know if Rita had a fence around. I don't know if they had a gate around their home, but Rita is being very diligent. My husband's not home. Her dad's not, Pops is not home. My daughter's dad is not home. We don't have any man protecting the house. And not that you always need a man. I mean, if you have the, what I'm saying, if you have something on your hip, what I mean, it's going to be good enough. But we don't have a protector of the home. And so we're going to set the alarm. So Amy wakes up. There's this, guy dressed in all black standing over her. Amy's like, absolutely not, but, the intruder jumps on top of her and is trying to cover her mouth. But as he's doing it, apparently he's talking too loud. And so Rita gets up and she was like, what's going on in my house? And she hears some whispering, and I always wondered about this in the movies. It's like, how can you be so loud whispering and committing a crime? I would think somebody would hear you. Rita did hear. So Rita comes in and she was like, oh my goodness, what's happening? Blah, blah, blah. The intruder gets spooked and he jumps up and he leaves. Now, let me find the article, just so it doesn't seem like I'm just saying things. Give me a second. This CBS News article, I may read through it, I may not. Talks about 48 Hours has discovered that Colorado's most dangerous, people offenders, 1 in 8 also have prior convictions for burglary or robbery. They burglarize and they assault people if the opportunity presents itself. Now, this is not me saying this. This is an individual saying. That's what I'm saying. We got an official publication, CBS News, and we're saying people do this if the opportunity presents itself. So if I see that the man is going out of the house, I think I can overtake the women. And so whoever this individual was, he sneaks in, tries to overtake the women on an opportunity. It's crime of opportunity. So a crime of opportunity is going to look like we said before, a crime of opportunity is going to look radically different than a crime of passion. And guess what? When they found this dude, when Rita wakes up, she sees this guy gets spooked. And guess what he does? He does what we would think somebody who is acting under a crime of opportunity would do. He jumps out the window of a 2-story home and jets off. That's what I'm saying. Nobody was harmed. Nobody was unalived. He just jumped out the window and said, oh, dang, I'm done here. It's not going as planned. Mission abort. Chief Beckner said something to the effect that this would have had to have been somebody with intimate knowledge. And you know what? I think I need to read that. Somebody with intimate knowledge of the case. Well, you know what? You know what? Let me back up. Because I said, if we're looking for 8.5 boots, then what will we be looking for? If we're looking for size 8.5, what will we be looking for? So let me back up. Before I go into that, let me, because it's about to get ignorant. So I said, ChatGPT, I want to know Burke's height at the time of the crime so I can know if he was wearing 8.5 size shoes. I want to know that. And so, obviously I can't find any height, as referencing the comment at the beginning of this presentation. I couldn't find any height for Patsy. I couldn't find any official height for John. I believed Patsy was probably about 5'4", something around there. Didn't really know how tall John was. Didn't know how tall Burke was, but I think I saw somewhere where JonBenét was like 3'9" or something like that. So I said, you know what? Let's do this. Since nobody wants to give up the goods, let's do this. I said, ChatGPT, Dr. Phil is 6'3". Now we can see that he has these little shoes on and Burke has his shoes on. I said, Dr. Phil is in the white shirt and tie, 6'3" in this pic. Burke Ramsey is in the dark colored shirt. Can we estimate about how tall? Should have been tall. I don't know why I put tall, but Burke, ChatGPT understands me. How tall he is in this pic. ChatGPT comes and says, to estimate Burke Ramsey's height in this image relative to Dr. Phil, who's 6'3", we can use a visual proportion approach. That's all I need. That's all I need you to do, baby. That's all I need you to do. I just need you to eyeball it for me, because that's what I was going to do. But I wanted a second check. Okay. Compare the head heights. Dr. Phil's head and body are proportionally larger than Burke's, but Burke's head reaches slightly below Dr. Phil's chin level. Okay, so they're right here, kind of looking down. Okay. Slightly below Dr. Phil's chin level. Proportional scaling, if Dr. Phil is 6'3", and Burke's height reaches roughly 90 to 92% of Dr. Phil's height, then based on visual comparison, we estimate that Burke is probably between 5'7.5" to 5'9". Footwear considerations, both appear to be wearing casual shoes, which likely add, a small amount of height. So between 5'8", say 5'8" and 5'9". Okay. So based on this, Burke is probably about 5'7" to 5'9". Okay. I'm good with that. I respect that. Then I went and grabbed this one. This picture. I said, okay, I'm just trying to double check here. Looks like John is slightly shorter. Looks like John is slightly shorter. And, obviously you still have Dr. Phil towering over. These men are talking, and I don't know what Burke is looking at. He's somewhere in La La Land, but these men are apparently talking about something serious. And Burke is like, forget what y'all are talking about. So anyways, I said, what about this photo? Can we estimate the height here? Because I need a second check. I just want to see if you're consistent, chat. That's what I want to do. So in this image, we can estimate Burke Ramsey's height relative to Dr. Phil, who is 6'3". Dr. Phil is standing straight and appears taller than Burke. Burke's head reaches slightly below Dr. Phil's eye level. Okay, cool. So his head slightly below, right? Something like that. There's eye level there. Okay, cool. Chat, I just need you to be close. The average distance from the top of the head to the eyes is about 4.5 to 5 inches for an adult male. Thank you for that. If Burke's head reaches just below Dr. Phil's eye level, he is likely to be around 5 to 6 inches shorter. So if that's the case, then we can say that he's probably 5'9" to 5'10". Okay, so somewhere between 5'7" and 5'10", that's all I need, right? Because if we're comparing that to John, because I need to see John here, John seems like he's slightly shorter, but he's also hunching over. right? I'm just trying to make sure. But there was a pic of the at the funeral to where it seemed like when they were hugging John at Patsy's funeral, when and I guess I'll pull it up just for reference. Is this pic right here? And it seems as if, they're hugging and they're kind of close in height. That's all I wanted to see. So whatever Burke is, John is probably about that same height. That's what I wanted to see. Okay, so Burke is about 5'9", 5'10". We previously said 5'7", 5'9", but he's about 5'9", 5'10". So based on this, he's likely in the 5'9" range. Okay, Chad, I appreciate you reinforcing that it's likely 5'9". Okay, Chad, I appreciate you. What about John Ramsey, who is in the suit jacket? Let's talk about that. Okay, to estimate John Ramsey's height in this image relative to Dr. Phil and Burke, you said Burke was about 5'9". Dr. Phil 6'3", Burke's about 5'9", 5'10". Let's use the proportional approach. Chat, you read my mind. Let's absolutely use that again. We got some numbers that we can use, so we know Dr. Phil is 6'3". We know that for sure. We got some numbers that we want to check on the front end. We got some on the front end. We got some we want to check on the back end. Dr. Phil is visibly taller than John Ramsey. Appears to be at about Dr. Phil's nose or his upper lip level. Okay. At the nose or upper lip. Okay. Estimating. Okay. Okay, Chad. Okay. John Ramsey looks slightly shorter or about the same height as Burke. His posture may slightly affect the estimate, but he doesn't appear significantly taller than Burke. Okay, that's what I'm saying. The posture, right? So you picked up on it, chat. So I know you're looking. So if Dr. Phil is 6'3" and John Ramsey reaches around the nose or the upper lip, we estimate about 5 to 6. So he's about 5'8", 5'9". So that's what that's what we said at the top of the presentation. He's about 5'9", right? That is about 5'9". Conclusion, he's about 5'8" to 5'9". Okay. Where is his commonly reported height found? Any resources that you can find? Determining John Ramsey's exact height is challenging, as publicly available sources don't provide definitive information. However, based on these visual comparisons, he's about 5'9". Okay, cool. But then I went and got this picture. I said, okay, look, chat. I'm working here. I'm trying to figure out something, chat. Okay. If we got John Ramsey and we've estimated that John Ramsey is about 5'9", and we can see that they kind of got some heels on right here. They got a heel on their shoe. Okay. Looking clean, look dressed nicely. I see you with the watch, John. I see you, Patsy, with the jewelry and the shades. I see with the blazer. The polo, I got you. Okay. If John is about 5'9", how tall is Patsy? Because I estimate Patsy to be about 5'4". I don't know where I got that number from. I just estimate that. Said, okay, if John is about 5'8", 5'9", can we estimate Patsy? To estimate Patsy Ramsey relative to John Ramsey, 5'8", 5'9", we can use the following approach. Comparison to John Ramsey. She appears to be noticeably shorter than John. She's wearing a heeled shoes. Chat, you pick it up so well. Thank you. Which likely adds about 1.5 to 2 inches to her height. Even with the heels, she appears to reach around John's nose or lower face level. Estimating proportions. The average distance from the top of the nose to the head is about 5 to 6 inches for an adult male. If Patsy reaches around John's nose while wearing heels, she's likely 5 to 6 inches shorter than him without them. Given that John is about 5'8", 5'9", subtracting about 5 to 6 inches, good math. Okay. Patsy's about 5 to 6 inches shorter than John in flats. She would be 5'2" to 5'4" barefoot. We are right on track, aren't we? With the heels, adding 1.52 inches, she would appear closer to 4.5 to 5'6" in this photo. True. Conclusion, Patsy's likely around 5'3" to 5'4" barefoot. That's what I suspect. And I thought to myself, it's probably plausible that, somebody who is like 5'4" is probably, and who's a grown woman, is probably gonna wear an 8.5, just depending. Okay. So I went and got these two pictures, and I just wanted to check and make sure. But these are when Burke is in fourth and JonBenét is in kindergarten. They are probably going to high peaks. Whether they are or not does not matter to me, but I just wanted to double check where they were. So I went and grabbed these two, and I said, okay, these are perfect, because I wanted to get pictures around the time of this happening. I didn't know that Burke was this much taller than JonBenét. I really didn't. But as we can clearly see, Burke's head is at Patsy's shoulder. Okay. I said, so now I want to estimate Burke in the red shirt and JonBenét in the tank top or whatever. I think I may have meant spaghetti strap or something like that. But I know Patsy is in the hat and is about 5'3" to 5'4" without shoes. It looks like she has a small heel on in this one, and Burke has thick shoes on. So that's probably, so, you kind of see his heel, they're kind of thick. So that's probably padding his height a little bit too. Using Patsy Ramsey's estimated height of 5'3", 5'4" barefoot, and considering that she has a small heel in this image, we can estimate Burke and JonBenét's height. Oh, I didn't ask you. I don't think did I ask for JonBenét? No, I didn't. I just said Burke. But chat knows me. Chat gets me. So chat says, you know what? We'll look at both. Okay, appreciate you, chat. Estimating Burke Ramsey's height. Footwear adjustment. Burke is wearing thick sneakers, likely to add about an inch and a half. Patsy's small heel, likely to add about an inch and a half to hers as well. Burke appears to reach Patsy's chin or slightly below, since the average chin to the top of the head distance is about 7 to 8 inches. Burke is likely 7 to 8 inches shorter than Patsy in this image. Okay, what we got? What we got, chat? If Patsy is about 5'5" in her heels, that would put Burke around 4'9" to 4'10" with shoes on. Adjusting this barefoot, he'd probably be 4'8", 4'9". Thank you so much. At the time of this photo, estimating JonBenét Ramsey's height. So JonBenét is wearing flat sandals or light shoes, which don't significantly add height. I agree. Relative to the height of Burke and Patsy. Okay, she appears to be about chest level to Burke, meaning she is likely 8 to 10 inches shorter than him. Since Burke is around 4'8", 4'9", barefoot, subtracting 8 to 10 inches would put her about 3'10" to 4'1". So approximately 3'10" to 4'1" at the time of this photo. We right on track. We're right on track. Because we knew that JonBenét was like 3'9", somewhere around that range. So chat has got me set straight. So Burke, probably about 4'8", 4'9". JonBenét is probably about 3'10", barefoot, 4'1". So it's like JonBenét is somewhere around, she's flirting around maybe like a whole foot shorter than Burke. So he's got some size. I said, okay. What would be the shoe size of Burke at this age? Age 9, 4'9", slim, about 62 to 69 pounds. Somebody said that in the chat. I said, okay, let's go with it. So, whether he's 62 to 69 pounds, he's got a slim build. For a 9-year-old boy, approximately 4'8", 4'9", 62 to 69, slim build, the estimated shoe size based on standard growth charts and shoe size conversions would be estimated shoe size for Burke at this build. U.S. kids shoe size would be 3 to 5. The equivalency for a man would be 3 to 4.5. EU shoe size 34 to 37. UK is 2 to 4. So it's likely that Burke is wearing a U.S. kid's 3 to 5, size 4 being the most probable fit based on height and weight. Why is this important? Because my initial thoughts of Patsy or Burke, my initial thoughts were Patsy or Burke. And it's like, okay, we were debating on whether Burke would wear this shoe, on whether Burke would wear that. You know, could he do an 8.5? I was like, maybe he had big feet or something like that. But if you take this away and say, okay, well, no, Burke is wearing a size 3 to like a 4 in men's or something like that. So wouldn't be Burke. So this has to definitely be an adult. So I got to thinking maybe it was Patsy, only to find out that the shoes that were turned over to the police didn't even come from the house. You heard me right. The shoes that were turned over to police didn't even come from the house. Pray tell how that could be the case. I will. Among information John and Patsy Ramsey provided to police this month were a pair of Hi-Tec boots obtained through the private investigator that they hired, Ollie Gray. Y'all, this is about to get real shady. And I mean that. I mean real shady. Okay. Ollie Gray, an investigator for the Ramseys, said, and I think this is coming from the Daily Camera reported this. Ollie Gray, an investigator for the Ramseys, said a family member gave Kennedy the boots. Kennedy gave Gray the boots through an attorney. Gray turned them over to police in August and answered police questions about them during an interview with the Ramseys in Atlanta at the end of August. You're probably wondering, Kato, what's the problem with this? Very innocently, family members, who are the family members? Family members gave Kennedy the boots. Kennedy gave Gray the boots, and Gray gave the boots to the police. We found some Hi-Tec boots that you were looking for. You said there was Hi-Tec boots down in the basement. We found them. Suspect. Suspect facing burglary charges. John Edward Kennedy arrested October 25th, 2000. October 10th, breaking into Michael Helgoth's house. Kennedy got the boots from a family member, gave them to Ollie Gray. Gray gave them to the cops and said, here's what we just happened upon these boots. Could be the killer. Mm. Written by the Daily Camera. A Lafayette man was charged with burglary and theft of a Boulder County home, told sheriffs. Lafayette man charged of theft, told sheriff deputies he was investigating the unsolved 1996 JonBenét Ramsey homicide. But it wasn't a homicide. It wasn't. It wasn't a homicide. Remember, it was a kidnapping. It was an abduction. Um, she's. All right, it's a homicide. Whatever. I'm investigating a homicide. The suspect in the case still a homicide. I'm just being facetious. The suspect in the case is John Edward Kennedy, 47. You're too old. You are too old, sir. You are too old to be doing that. You're almost 50 years old, sir. You are supposed to be grown with kids and a family or a respectable job. Being a productive member of society. Beg on the street for all I care. But this, what are you doing? Why are you breaking into people's house? They told me that the police were leaking information, i.e. breaking the rules. They told me that the police were inept, couldn't investigate worth crap. They told me that the police don't know what they're doing. And then you went and hired a team of private investigators who commissions people to break into other people's homes and steal evidence. The cops had to go get warrants for this stuff. The cops had to go get warrants for this stuff. When they were looking for John and Patsy Ramsey, they had to go get warrants to get that. They couldn't just pop up in people's home and steal it and be like, hey, we got it. They had to go get warrants for that. On the other hand, John and Patsy Ramsey's investigators, which they probably knew nothing about, of course, likely story. Those investigators are commissioning people to break into people's house and steal stuff. Let's keep going. Shall we? Do pray tell, why would Kennedy feel like, why would Kennedy feel like he could do this? Well, because he's my friend. I suspect that my friend could have been involved in this. And so I'm going to do whatever I can do because he said some weird stuff to me. It's reported, and I'm, not going to show it here, but it's reported. And again, you can, a Candy Rose, type it all in. It's all there. It's been reported. You know what? I'll just show it to you. So again, apparently this source came from a real crime TV show, the transcript of that. Helgoth was suspected because John Kennedy said we were walking along, headed toward the house, and he just casually comes up and says, I wonder what it's like to, hit a human over the head, And I looked at him and I said, whoa, I don't want to have this conversation. I got nothing to do with it. I mean, for all we know, Mr. Kennedy, for all we know, brother, you could be the second man. You could be the second person that I mean, you clearly have a propensity to break up in this man's crib and take stuff that you feel could make him show that he's guilty. And you said that, hey, he said they were supposed to do a job for 50 or 60K. He just came right out with it. He came up and told me, they're supposed to do a job for 60K. Even at that, my problem with that 50-60K thing is that $50,000 plus $50,000, if we're talking about two people, $50,000 plus $50,000 is $100,000, and $60,000 plus $60,000 is $120,000. I don't know if you know how money works, but if we say $100,000, then we're missing, and we said like 118 grand. That would leave us missing $18,000. And if conversely we said $120,000, then that would leave us short of a payout of $2,000. So I guess I'm confused as to, like, the man said, man, we're going for 50, 60K a piece, is what Michael supposedly said. We're going for 50, 60K a piece on this deal. Well, it's bad math because you can't come up with $2,000 out of nowhere. Oh, but it's close enough. I get that, but you can't pay anybody $2,000 out of nowhere that you don't have. So if I tell you 60 grand and I bust up in somebody's crib and say, give me $118,000. Well, I said 60 grand. So right off the bat, I'm shorting people money. Number one. Number two, did Helga talk about getting an advance? Because typically from what I've seen on the true crime shows that people would get an advance. So did they get an advance on the deal? There would be clues, there would be signs. For example, if we go back and we think about the individual in the Amy and the Rita case who snuck into the house and was waiting there for like a period of 6 hours, as they said, and Gray, Ollie Gray, the private investigator, I believe, or Peterson, whoever it was saying, well, if that's the case, then it could be the case that this happens with the JonBenét Ramsey thing, right? This could happen with the JonBenét Ramsey. Could be the same guy, because clearly this guy knows what he's doing. You know, he knew how to escape. He knew how to get out. And it's like, that's what I've been saying. That's what I've been saying. This person would have known how to escape. If this person would have been the same person and he had done this before, then he would have just simply tried to get JonBenét and jet out. And if it didn't work out, they would have jetted. If this was Michael Helgoth and Michael Helgoth was a career criminal in this way, then Helgoth would have known. If Helgoth is this person, then he's gotten away with it. He would have known what to do. There would have been no need for him to be using a rope on JonBenét. And what would Helgoth need with that? If the man is saying, I'm going to be making 50, 60K, then that is a crime of opportunity. It's got to be consistent with the crime of opportunity. And if it's consistent with the crime of opportunity, then guess what? I'm going to go in there and I'm going to get my 50, 60K, and I'm going to take this girl out the house with my accomplice. And that's that. Done deal. I got to keep going. And so the National Enquirer reported, because we got to go back to this shady business. You know, JonBenét's killer unalives himself. And so we go back to this part. I got to get down to it. Kennedy decided to help. I got a call from Lou Smith asking me about the boots and the stun gun and a tape recorder. Kennedy told Any they were never taken into evidence, and Lou said he wished he had those things. Kennedy decided to help. He said, Lou, I got you. I got you, Lou. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. I know I can do it. The boots were still in possession of of a Helgoth family member. So Kennedy asked if he asked, can I have them? I went through the right channels. I asked, can I have these boots, please? Through a lawyer, he got them to Ollie Gray. Then he went one step further. He risked arrest by breaking into Helgoth's home, which is about to make room for a park. I was looking for evidence, said Kennedy. He took home videos and papers that Helgoth had Helgoth's handwritings for possible comparison to the ransom note left at the scene. and he turned it over to investigators. It's funny how people will slander your name. It's funny how people will slander your name as they do the exact same thing. You were blaming Mike for burglaries and being good at that stuff, and Mike should be looked at, and my friend said this, so we should take a look at them. Maybe we should take a look at you. It says in trying to identify a potential killer, they came up with an important clue, did they? In the months before the murder, up to a dozen houses near the Ramseys were broken into that night. There was curious pattern to these burglaries. Little or nothing was taken. Detectives believe they were carried out simply for the thrill of stalking others at night. The break-in stopped abruptly after the murder. Talking about Helgoth. The Boulder police did not link them to the murder, but the new investigators believe they might be the key to everything because Helgoth too used to stalk people at night. It happened to John Kennedy. John Kennedy says, I was working on a car late at night one evening. You know me, I don't do nothing bad. I'm a law-abiding citizen. In my garage, and, I kind of get the feeling that, there's something out there. And I went right up to because you know me, I'm a hero. So I went right up to that window and I looked. You thought that there was something out there and you went up to the window and looked? I looked and it was real quiet. And I don't see anything. I look again, and all I could see were a pair of eyes coming out of the black. I don't know why I figured, well, this could be Michael. So I said, "Is that you, Mike?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, how long you been out there?" And he goes, "Long enough." And then he's gone. I thought that was kind of strange. The narrator goes on to say Helgoth used to stalk people at night dressed in black ninja clothing. When looking for a possible killer, detectives looked for a violent associate who shared his interest in martial arts and young girls. They immediately came up with a close associate who has since disappeared, a man who frightens all those around him. You know what's weird to me? John, you seem to always be at the right place at the right time. Maybe it could have been you. The nerve to call out this young man and then break in this man's house and take this man's stuff, burglarizing this man's home and take this man's stuff. The thing about Helgoth, though, that you might not know is that he was cleared through DNA. My thing was, and somebody brought this up in one of the chats, I think in one of the forums, they said, well, if this is the case, why didn't they test anything like the boots to anything in the Ramsey home, right? Why didn't they do that? Because that's the first thing that I thought about. Now, I will admit that it's weird that he has all this stuff of little girls, but if he is a child abuser, then he's going to have this stuff. Does that necessarily mean that he was responsible for this? No, that does not mean that. Do we have anything to tie him to the crime? Bear with me because we're going to go through some of these transcripts because I want y'all to see the kind of games being played. The absolute games being played. I want you to buckle up. This is going to be kind of lengthy, but I want you to buckle up for me. So here's Michael Caine, and he's asking, Special Prosecutor Caine working under DA Alex Hunter. So Michael Caine, he's coming up and he's sitting and he's asking, I can't remember who this is, but he's asking somebody a question, and it could be John Kennedy. But he says, "What else do you know about Mr. Helgoth?" And the person says, "That is all. That's all I know. Question comes back, did you ever hear that name before? No. Question, it was not somebody who was known to your family? No. Question, besides Mr. Gray, do you have any information? Has anyone else given you any information about him? Answer, not that I can think of, no. Question, besides the fact, where did Mr. Gray tell you that he had an air taser stun gun on him when he committed or unalived himself? Answer, yes, I believe there is a photograph that he had. And question, and it was Mr. Gray who told you that he had Hi-Tec boots. Was he wearing those? I'm sorry, that was a double question. Was it Mr. Gray who told you that he had Hi-Tec boots? Answer, yes. So you only know about the Hi-Tec boots because Mr. Gray found the boots because those boots were in the home of a private citizen that y'all stole from. That's not private investigative work. That's burglary, and that's breaking the law. You broke the law to get evidence. You broke the law to get information. You skirted the system to get evidence and information. That's what attorneys did. A private investigator commissioned by the Ramsey attorney team sent somebody out to go, I know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows something about it. You don't know that. Anyways, I know somebody who knows somebody, a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend. That's what this is. So the Ramseys get a team of lawyers, and the lawyers say, well, I got a private investigator, somebody out in the streets. And then the private investigator says, well, I got somebody. There was a judge who was upset. Let me find the article. This guy named Pete Peterson right here is a Denver private investigator. And he comes down here and he's telling the story of this link between Amy and JonBenét Ramsey. But here's the thing that I wanted to get to. We talked about the opportunity that presents itself, but Peterson, however, is a private detective with no police authority. He's been censured by a judge in the past for how he's gathered evidence. And in this case, he's planning to hand over all of his materials to the Boulder DA. He hopes that they will take him seriously. The problem with this stuff is that the way y'all collect information is shady. That's why don't nobody trust y'all, because y'all break into people's house and return the information, give the information to the police, and it's illegally obtained, and they can't accept that in court. That's illegal. You obtained it through illegal means. But had nobody found out or said anything about that or caught you in the act or caught you burglarizing people's stuff, then that stuff would have been admitted into court. Think about that. Think about that. Had nobody caught that, that stuff would have gone straight into court to prove the Ramseys' innocence. That stuff would have been documented. And that's why we say when we think about all of these theories about the intruder theory and we think about Helgoth and the way that he was found with the boots beside his feet and the stun gun beside him, why would he have that? Is he about to commit another a crime? Why would he have that just neatly by his feet? Why wouldn't his shoes be on his feet? Why would he be laying down with his shoes beside his feet? That's really weird. And then the stun gun right beside him. That almost seems like somebody planted that there. Obviously, the story is that they found a pillow that had a bullet hole through it or something like that, used as a silencer type, right? So clearly somebody came in and Helgoth is right-handed. I think the story goes he's right-handed, but his supposed self-unaliving came from the left-hand side, but the gun was found in his right-hand side. But the trajectory of the bullet was from the left to the right. So how would he unalive himself like that and then as he's in pain, maybe he's still alive for a couple seconds. As he's in pain, he says, wait, I got to make it look like I did this. And he switches the weapon to his right hand. And then that's what I should be believing. I'm confused. That's what I need to believe, that this man, okay. Well, maybe it was somebody that, didn't want him to tell. Okay. I got that. So basically, whoever this is, that I think it might be Patsy, maybe it is. Haven't found anything about some Hi-Tec boots unless it's through Mr. Gray, your private investigator, who could, as we know, be feeding you lies. And he was wearing them at the time. Is that your understanding? Answer, I don't know that. Question, outside of the fact that he unalived himself, he had a pair of Hi-Tec boots and an air taser, is there any other information that you have that connects him to this crime? That's what we need to know. I mean, here we are trying to find out if this guy's a viable suspect. Do you have anything else that connects him to any DNA, any dirt in his shoe print that connects him? Answer, no. Okay, question by Mr. Morrissey. Have you seen this photograph where Mr. Helgoth has a stun gun? Have you actually seen that photograph? Answer, no, I don't believe so. Mr. Kane jumps in with a question. Do you know Mr. Gray came into possession of these boots? Answer, I don't know exactly, no. Here comes Mr. Linwood. I think it was explained in a memo to Chief Beckner by Mr. Gray that that he sent to him in the last couple of weeks. Witness says, you all have the boots now? Mr. Kane says, that wasn't my question. Let's not get sidetracked. Linwood has a propensity to get us off course. I ain't asked that question. Thank you, Mr. Kane, for saying that's not my question. Let's get back on track. I want to know what you know about those boots. I'm not talking about a memo that Beckner sent out that he said he got something from Gray. What do you know about those boots? Kane says, so you don't know how he came into the possession of those boots? Answer is, I think he said he might have gotten them from a family member or something. Question, when did you learn this? Answer, some time ago, a couple of months ago. Question, and was that the first time you heard about Mr. Helgoth having Hi-Tec boots? Answer, yes. Question, all right. And did you learn about that in a personal conversation with Mr. Gray? Or did you learn it indirectly through somebody else? Answer, I think I probably heard it from John. I don't know if that's John Ramsey. I don't know if this is John Kennedy. Question, have you ever talked to Mr. Gray? Let me know in the comments. Have you ever talked to Mr. Gray about those Hi-Tec boots? Answer, yes. Linwood feels the need to talk again. So I believe that this is Patsy. Other than that, Linwood probably wouldn't have nothing to say. That assumes that lawyers are people. Some would disagree that they are sharks or whatever. Lynn, what the heck are you talking about? What the heck are you talking about? What kind of game is this? What kind of game is this? Where we just talk stupid out of turn? Like, what are you talking about? Can we stay on point and can we stay on topic, please? What are you talking about? Oh, someone would disagree that they're sharks or whatever. You're annoying me right now. I'm not going to lie to you. You are annoying me because we're talking about something serious and you're asking me, oh, that assumes that lawyers are people. Some would disagree and say they're sharks. So I don't care. Okay, this is the point where we are transitioning. Sorry for the Delay, but here's the cut.